Welcome back to another episode of the Bad Gamer, Good Gamer podcast. Hope you everybody had a good weekend. We had a blast at the Blast Premier World Finals.
Pun intended?
Pun
Wow.
intended,
We started
100%.
with the
Yes.
puns, Tim. That's
We've
harsh.
got Kevin Sebastian AKA Noxvoyager with us today as well, and Fatty's with us as well. So this is the first time we do a three-person episode. And we were all we all just want to talk about what happened in the weekend with the Blast Premier, both in terms of the outcome, the matches, our thoughts and feelings about it, and everything. So, Kevin, why don't you start us off? Let's, have the guests go at it first.
Um, to say that you had a blast is very, very on point. I had a great time actually watching the game. I didn't see day one. I watched a few of the streams as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the final event between G2 and Team Liquid got over fairly quickly and in surprising fashion too, because G2 dominated the entire day, and they came out on top for this game, and I genuinely had a lovely time just watching these people frag so quickly that I'm like, should I get back into Counter-Strike? And then I see the level of skill that they have. And I go back, no, I'm not going back to Counter-Strike.
You're not going to be able to compete.
No way.
Yeah.
I don't know what
None of us can. No.
The response times were insane. They were pixel peaking and God knows what else. And honestly, like G2's, I believe his name was Monsi, the player. Seeing him with an op was insane. Like these people clearly are they're on to like obviously like bigger and better things for sure when it comes to their careers in esport for Counter-Strike specifically. But overall as a show, it was insane because like I like the fact that a lot of the production value was top notch. Like this is the level of things we see in Europe and the US. That's the kind of production quality. I mean, I expected and it delivered, and even way more than that as well. The venue was perfect. The audience, the crowd was so like it. Everyone was into it. Like this is the start of the very start of like esport events becoming the same level as
serious esports events, because we've had esports events here in the past, but nothing on this level, nothing recognizable on an international scale.
Yeah, making a distinction on what esport events the standard should be. These are the start of the major finals of what can possibly be done in our region. It can be done. This
proves it. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Like it's never been about the location. The fact that they had a very seamless response to everything, and at the same time, they also had very little hiccups. I don't even know if there were hiccups. I doubt there were.
Yeah, none that I saw. But before we get to that, I just want to go back to G2 again, because Fatty, you've watched their matches on Friday, right? You've seen them before the finals.
Pretty much all the matches that I could watch.
So was that
even
like
the opening matches?
Yeah, was that like a trend with them? Like, did they surprise and overtake everybody?
Yeah, they did. Well, G2 versus FaZe was also a very intense match, but they didn't win that fast. Like FaZe put up a fight, let's say. So they were neck and neck for a few rounds or a few maps, and then G2 won at the end. So just seeing them play between the last few days, they're amazing. And they, in terms of all the teams that are there between Liquid and FaZe, G2 was the underdogs. No one was expecting them to reach that far.
Yeah.
I mean, I fully expected FaZe to be in this final right now with the way they were playing. And
we had FaZe as our pick'ems prediction, right,
yeah.
Fatty?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. We only got 2 out of the 7, unfortunately.
But what surprised me the most was when FaZe played against Liquid and then Liquid beat them. I'm very surprised with how Liquid played. Actually, there were some weird calls with Team Liquid. Either that they were not playing up to scratch, or G2 was just too good and were dominating every single match.
I would say G2 was too good.
It looked like they were.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Nox, before this, did you ever used to watch Counter-Strike?
I do.
esports or
I
follow
watched a
it?
lot of the ESL tournaments actually.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have previous experience with Counter Strike
correct.
teams
Yeah.
and like
Like
the
I
meta and
don't play
everything.
the game, so I normally don't speculate on Counter Strike tournaments because it's not my game. But there are just certain things like from a viewer, the longer you watch Counter Strike games, you kind of get the handle on. But G2, in the sense that when I saw them play, it was unbelievable how good they were. Like uh, Hunter and Monsi, and in fact, Team Liquid did try to put up a fight in the second half, but
Yeah.
it was very short lived. You see, like they were coming neck to neck. It was looking like they were going to win that second round.
Yeah, they closed that gap. There was like a
Yeah.
6-7 point gap between them.
And
They
then
closed it,
and then G2
yeah.
and then G2 just rolled them over, and
Yeah.
it was something I didn't fully expect as well. I mean, good for people who were there, because a lot of people who were there were actually wanting to go for the World Cup final. Congratulations, Argentina, by the way. And
Yeah, 2 World Cups on that day. It was
Two
nice.
World Cups, yeah.
yeah. So everyone had the added benefit of leaving the venue early and going to catch the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was
Everybody
telling. That's what I was telling Fatty yesterday. Because it wasn't just a World Cup final for me. It was also my mom's birthday,
Yeah.
and I wanted to make sure that I could like go back home and like get ready and all that. Like I have more than enough time to do that. So when we saw the way
G2 for putting on a show, and
well, that's the
also
thing.
respecting everyone's time.
When we saw the way G2 played the first map, Fatty and I were like, "Hey, there's a chance that this might be done like with just 2 maps. Like, there's no need to go into Anubis, and like we're good."
Yeah.
And we were, I think, from the night before, like rooting for Liquid. I think that was kind of like the unspoken thing. It's like, oh, let's just like go for Liquid.
Yeah.
But then
FaZe,
that quickly
if
changed.
FaZe was there, it would have been FaZe.
Yeah, it
but
would have
like,
been FaZe. Yeah,
Liquid.
but then Liquid was kind of like the second. For
Yeah.
me, it was because, like full disclosure, like we don't really do esports at all. This is just
This
based
is
on
what I
what
want
we
to get at. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was getting there. So the fact that both of us and you, Kevin, who does watch all these esports games, were able to like pick up just how good G2 was,
Yeah.
really means that they were that fucking good. That it doesn't take an expert, it doesn't take somebody who's like well accustomed to not just them, but just like CSGO matches in general. As long as you get a general idea of what needs to be done, shoot the bad people, defuse the bomb, or plant the bomb, and that's it. You could still tell just how good they
it's
played.
also like their team communication was on point.
Hmm.
For whatever reason, even when the team was down, 2v, it was a 2v3 or 2v4. I'm trying to remember what match it was. They quickly took over.
Yeah.
Like even in the pistol rounds, they were like properly. I believe like another player again whose name escapes me. He had the Akimbo pistol, and he took out 2 players easily within the span of like a few seconds of each other.
I've seen that happen a couple of times.
Right.
Like it wasn't like a one-time fluke type of thing. It's just
Right,
they've-
but then the spatial awareness, right? Like that's a very common spot to be on top of. But
Yeah,
for
yeah,
some
yeah.
reason, Liquid were just not finding those gaps when it
Yeah.
came to like finding those players. I think it was all about positioning as well. And again, not an expert, so don't quote me on this in the terms of like what I thought about them as an expert
We
level
won't.
opinion. But at the same time, it was just such a joy to watch competitive CS on a massive screen.
It was
That for
Can-
sure.
yeah.
Can
Like,
we
you-
talk about the experience watching it like at the arena and what it was like,
can-
and then
can
we
I
can maybe
say-
touch on the
It
production.
Yeah.
was so good, honestly. Like again, I'm sure you guys have different experiences altogether because you were for both days. But when I went there, the ticketing process was smooth. I obviously went as press, so my experience was very different. But for people who were there, very little complaints. People who got tickets got in very easy. They got their seats that they wanted. F&B was affordable for an event of this nature. For the adults, they were providing harder drinks also, so that's also
Yeah.
available.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing until like the last day.
Yeah,
To say.
it really was, and at the same time, everyone there, whoever, like, they had a merch stall. My only,
Oh, yeah.
I think my only gripe, I would say I'm nitpicking at this point, is that there should have been more merch. There was Blast merch, there was FaZe Clan merch. I didn't see anything from Team Liquid. I didn't see like much of the stuff as well. Like, and in fact, the meet and greets, I guess, were also like really well coordinated as well. It would have been nice to meet the players outside of Blast, in the sense that
Me too. Yeah, I wanted to see
people,
them.
I know for a fact, people wanted to meet a player from Navi called Simple. And for Counter-Strike fans, Simple is like a very revered figure in that space.
Oh, okay.
The thing was, I just wish that, they would have stuck around. But I get it, like at the end of the day, it all depends on giving each team its own space. So
Yeah. And I'm sure security plays a role as well. Like
100%, yeah. But that day belonged to G2 and Liquid, so that's what they did. But I did manage to get to see the behind the scenes of, and this is what I really wanted, actually, to see how it all works. Like
like as a press, I thought you'd have access to that at least.
Yeah,
like,
so I did
some access.
I did, and I was blown away because so two major things here what Abu Dhabi Gaming have done. Not only have they given them the space, they given them free reign in how they wanted to set up. They had like the Blast team had complete freedom and flexibility to like set things up the way they wanted. For starters, that screen that we saw, that entire display, they've said that it's their biggest that they've ever worked on. They've never worked on a display.
Can we just like give props to that screen, like how nice and crisp it was, and like I've never seen it live, but like how they showed all the players at the bottom.
Like in the middle of the screen, like that little cutout. Yeah.
For those listening in on this podcast, let me paint you a picture. They sat inside the screen. Like that's how it was. The stage was set in such a way that the players were actually inside, embedded in the screen, so the entire display was on the outside. So you could still see it into it. It was like a little cutaway. Where they put in their stage. So the entire thing was an actual display. And they designed that for this tournament specifically. I don't know if they're going to take that with them and once they dismantle it. I think they will, because it was so good the way it was done. And that was the first thing. The second thing was how the AV system, the lights and the sounds, all worked with the game.
100%. And it worked so well.
It worked phenomenally well. And I was stunned at how everything in sync was. So like, when I went behind the scenes, I first met with the admin team, who explained their main job in doing such a tournament like this is making sure that no team gets an unfair advantage over the other. Not just through like checking for hacks and stuff like that. It goes way more than that's the surface level stuff. Like they even look at audio cues, because sometimes players, like people in the audience, can yell something like go B, So they have to filter out that noise. And how they do that is the special headphones is that they have an AI to actually pick up on human voices and filter them
from outside.
From outside, yeah. So that players won't get to hear any of that stuff.
Because I was gonna ask, because the two commentators that were there, great job.
Even that, even that as well. Even the casters sometimes have to can be picked up because they're loud enough so that even the players can hear them. So the casters have to be told then, like, hey, stop giving away things and talk in such a way that they have to talk as if they're like, oh, he's about to do something. Very ambiguous, very vague. Like that's what
I was
they're
wondering
away,
about that.
like specific locations. Oh, like Nico so and so is above you, for example. So they'll just like they'll filter themselves.
Say that they'll just be like, oh, they're about to enter here, and they have to say it in such a way that the admin team is who
monitoring everything.
Correct. They are like a group of 4 people, and they've done such a stellar job doing it, because they also let a little bit of a little information is that sometimes players can rage, which leads to broken equipment.
Yeah.
And then I asked them like, what happens to all of these pieces, because clearly they're expensive and stuff. They're like, it actually gets reused within the team. So people things which are not suitable for gamers tends to then go to the internal office teams and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
They're sustainable like that, which is
sustainable,
cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. And like I'm like, that's pretty cool. That's good on the admin team for organizing this sort of thing. So that's the first part. The second part is the broadcasting itself, proprietary for sure. It's not OBS or anything of that sort. They use a very specific.
We saw OBS in
looked like OBS to me from where I was sitting.
It was a forked version of OBS, because it was a huge. I wasn't even allowed to record this part of the tour. So it was a very specific software that they had Again, no names, nothing was around it. Only that it was running off a single monitor in a huge server room,
Yeah.
and they had to like put those under blast chillers because of that. So they got the space
What?
to run that. Yeah.
Really?
So they're outputting
Okay.
multiple feeds across multiple things, and here's why: because they first give a clean feed to Twitch, YouTube, so that people can put all their graphics on top of it. Then they have the Blast TV website,
Yeah, which
Blast
I've
TV,
seen. Yeah.
which had its own room. In fact, people who were working on the Blast TV website literally sat in a separate room where, if you go to the Blast TV website, it's pretty much like how BN Sports works. If you watch the online TOD platform,
Yeah.
where
You mentioned that.
if a player clutched, aced, bomb was planted, you can like go to specific moments and track back
Yeah.
the feed.
So the highlights will be mapped out on the timeline.
Yeah, on the
I
Blast TV
saw that.
website.
Yeah, I love that
everything
idea.
From,
Yeah.
everything from stats to viewpoints, all of that was
It's
all there.
really good. Yeah, like I was
Yeah.
watching, like I had access to Twitch and the Blast TV website, and like after we signed up and I was watching there, then I noticed the little bar at the bottom. You just click something and like opens
It's so
up.
fluid. It was really
It's
fluid
so
as well.
nice.
And they
Yeah.
also had the chat moderators because the Blast community has their own chat
Yeah,
module as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
And the interesting thing is, the production director on the show for Blast is actually it was an entire Danish team, by the way. The same team they shipped everything, by the way. Whatever they had, they brought in, and that's why Maersk was one of their sponsors.
One of the sponsors. That threw me
cargo.
off a little bit. I was like, why?
Yeah, why would
Are
a
they
shipping
getting into
company- why
gaming
would a-
as well?
Why would a cargo company? Now you know. So this is the reason why they bought about. They haven't given me exact numbers, but it was very clearly at least 4 or 5 cargo containers worth of stuff that were
Damn.
brought in.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
at least, because the entire floor was theirs, like the entire basement and the entire back end was theirs, and it was
It's all
some
their
of the
stuff.
top-notch production. But here's the thing: the production director specifically was a Counter-Strike player. He is in his 50s, but he's also someone who knows Counter-Strike. So they pride themselves on having production people who play
Perfect.
the game
Yeah.
and they know what's going on. So everybody there are people who are very familiar with Counter-Strike. And I'm like, that is incredible. Like, you're not only hiring them based on their production experience, because these guys are veterans in the
But also
Danish TV.
based on their knowledge of the
They're
game as well.
gamers.
Yeah.
They're gamers
That makes
themselves.
sense.
So yeah.
As a top down kind of structure,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it makes
so that
sense.
they
Everybody
know
knows
how they
what's
can
going
cut
on.
through and all that, like how which player, when's the action going to happen and stuff. Now that's the first side. The second side is, for again people who weren't there, you guys can watch the live feed as well of the stage and stuff. If they planted the bomb, the stage
Oh,
would
yeah.
color
Yeah.
completely, and the lights will start flickering, ticking on when the bomb countdown starts going off.
So that is something. That's one of the things
Yeah.
that
It's
we
one of the
that we
main
loved
things,
about the show.
Right.
So like
Fun
you said,
story
if
about
the
there's a fun story about that as well. That is custom code, by the way, of someone who developed software, and it ran alongside Counter Strike. On
so it does it. I thought that it was
It's-
something that was like automatically done or something. Like
it
it must.
is automatically done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it triggers when you
It's
plant the bomb.
interesting.
Yeah, because it was like on point every single time. It was there was
Yeah.
never like a delay or it came in too early or whatever. So I figured it was something that was automatic, and then the lights and the sounds, everything was also like tied into that.
It's actually it's custom code. It's a software dev actually has
Yeah.
that to interface with the lights and stage and everything. So
Because
that's-
it was also
yeah.
the same thing whenever somebody like as soon as like the last person in the team like dies, it automatically switches like to like that team won or so on and so forth. So I'm pretty sure all of that was automated, not just like the bomb planning stuff.
Yeah.
Just calling out which team won at least was also part of
It's
that.
not even that. Like what I really liked about it is like when the lights go off, like you get this like effect, like it all turns
It's a
red. And you
strobing,
get like
it's a strobing effect.
strobing effect, and like
Yeah,
on
yeah.
top of that, it's the audio design, man. Like the audio made like when you were sitting in the seats, like you felt the rumble, like you felt like when the bomb went off, you're like
When the bomb went off, you feel it in your seats. The audio
Really
was,
feel it,
was
like-
really good. It was like very powerful.
it just added to the immersion of the whole thing. It was
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
Like it just goes to show that like when you have a good enough venue and you give them you give them a blank check essentially, you it's like obviously like there are stipulations on how I'm pretty sure Abu Dhabi Gaming are benefiting in many
Yeah,
ways.
so let's just
Yeah.
quickly, like, because we never mentioned the venue that, like, this all took place at Etihad Arena
Yeah.
on Yas Island, and 80 Gaming, they were the partners on this. They're the ones that like helped make this happen here in
Yep.
Abu Dhabi. As we all know, this is kind of like one of their missions and this
Initiatives,
is like one of their initiatives exactly is to make esports kind of like a big thing in 80 gaming, not in Abu Dhabi, and not just in the UAE, but also on an international level, have Abu Dhabi be like an esport destination. I think in the interview with you, Kevin, that Sultan had, I think he mentioned something about esports vacation or something like that.
Yeah, tourism. Yeah. So
Yeah, esports tourism. So, and I feel like that kind of happened with Blast, because I saw a lot of people that just looked not just like foreign, but like new in the country. Obviously, like
Yeah,
I'm not talking in all of Abu Dhabi, but like, but at the venue,
show,
like,
yeah.
yeah. So I'm sure these people must have like explored Abu Dhabi like for the weekend, right? So yeah, I think I personally would say that this event was a success for what they wanted to do, for what it was supposed to be, for people that attended the show, the stadium, like you could feel that people were excited. You could feel that people were happy. They were cheering on, for the most part, Team Liquid, right? Even though G2 was like just screaming them, but there were a lot of Team Liquid fans.
More than G2, like
much more than
where
G2.
we were sitting,
like,
there was like a handful on the right side, and then the rest of the stadium was going for Liquid. But it was still good. Like, it was friendly enough. Like, no fights broke out, nothing like that. But it was
there was
just
it was a great event. Blue went through.
And it's hard not to root for them. Yeah,
I think because of the nature of the sport and the people who are playing it also, like, these are, let's face it, the people who play video games, and they put all their rage and emotion into the game, and once the game's over, that's it. There's no fight after that. I think that's the way it just works in terms of competitive
I guess
esport
so.
as well.
not even that before.
Yeah,
with the show matches.
You show up by being good at the game. That's just generally it. Like, you can't be all talk.
True.
This is like, that's the nature of the sport, right? So, a fun story about like all of this is, as well, is that I actually questioned some of these things that were happening, because see, at the end of the day, as someone who grew up here, like all both of you as well, like, I'm all for local production, right? Like, I'm like, how does this serve the local economy? Because right now, all this seems is that Abu Dhabi gave them the location, and pretty much they brought in their own people, and I'm pretty sure local productions here and there, some of them did benefit from it. But how does this help the scene in general, right? And this is also part of the interview that I did with Sultan last episode, Tarek, just to track back to that conversation. Abu Dhabi Gaming, and this is, I think he's gave a very excellent answer on as to how this is going to happen moving forward, because they have a certain vision for what community events should be. And they also have a vision for what the international events should be. Only the difference is that the international events are much more easier to sponsor and fund, and basically get more eyes on. You don't get to the community without doing something big first, and that's always been emblematic of our region here. Like, that applies to everything, not just for gaming. Applies to any event. You need to have some big name attached to basically get the support funding of the brands to, like, so further support smaller events concurrently.
Yeah.
So, while I'm glad that this has happened, like the Blast Premier Final has happened in Abu Dhabi, for me, I will be truly convinced when I'd say, like, okay, there's a local production doing an actual esport thing for our region. You see,
I agree with what you're saying. I think Fadi and I, like, on the way back, he dropped me off home. We were talking about
speculated,
this. We're like, once like a local esports event starts gaining traction, right? You know, people are interested in going to see it. People are interested in competing with it. The prize pool is like substantial enough, and not like just 1,000 dirhams, because as soon as you have 1,000 dirham like prize pool, you're not going to get that many eyeballs on you, right? Like,
correct.
It's going to be a very, very small event. But once a small local event is able to like get enough sponsors, is able to get enough eyeballs, is able to get enough interest and talk online about it, then that is definitely like a big sign of success. But that
Correct,
doesn't
yeah.
happen until you start dragging in the big events first, right? And
Yeah.
then kind of like gradually beat it into people's brains that this is a thing, this can happen. If you like it, then go attend and
Like-
Yeah, like I feel like
support.
Yeah.
I feel like with every new trend, like we're still like 5 years behind, you know, in the terms of like esport did not pick up until very, very recently, 2015 to now, in the rest of the world, in the European and Western markets. So comparatively to the rest of Asia, in terms
Yeah.
of
Oh, yeah.
like the MENA region specifically, like even I will lump India, Pakistan along with that right now. The UAE has actually done a fair bit more than most, I would say.
Well,
In
that's a
terms
good
of,
thing.
yeah. Again, this is not. I'm not. I know the fact that people are going to start saying, "Oh, what about Saudi and Gamers 8?" And I'm like, yeah, that's its own thing, which is great and all. But this seems a bit more organic and sustainable because it's growing slowly. It's not like you're throwing a lot of money at an event and then we don't know what's going to happen the next year or not. You know, like at
Yeah,
least this year.
I don't mind the slow growth.
Yeah.
I would like it to be sustainable. Like get like these wins bit by bit.
Quality, but not quantity. You know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
audience,
yeah.
I absolutely loved because everybody knew what was going on. It wasn't some random bunch of people from a convention coming and sitting down to watch it because there was nothing else to do. These are people who paid good money. When I say
Yeah,
good money,
they were
affordable prices, who wanted to watch
Yeah.
Counter-Strike, and that's the
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And therein
And, no,
lies
and they
the
were
victory.
engaging with the game. Like,
Yeah,
how
and
many
the
times did we
fans
hear
and the
somebody
teams.
randomly start cheering for the team, or
Yeah.
like, you know, once an amazing play happened, everybody just kind of got off the seat, and like people were like, they were in
It's hard not to get caught up in the emotions
Yeah,
with what's
yeah.
happening, really.
Given the nature how fast Counter-Strike is, how quickly these rounds go by, and you can't even like process half the game because of how quick things are going. I'd say it was a damn good job that they done because like you had this one kid suddenly get off his seat and go like, "Let's go Liquid," and he's just starts chanting.
yeah.
Just starts chanting immediately, and then I'm like,
And then
okay,
the whole stadium started saying, "Let's go
yeah,
Liquid."
because of this one kid, you know, like one section of the stadium started chanting along with him as well.
Mm.
It's pretty magical, like that kind of like
Yeah.
live event that you don't get while streaming. Like even though like Blast TV
Yeah.
has the streaming thing, and like I just want to bring it
But
back a
being
bit.
part
like,
of the audience,
Yeah,
sharing that moment together, yeah.
there's nothing
Because
like
of how,
it. That's
yeah,
pretty
so
much it.
it's,
Yeah.
it's super quiet as well. Only when the game's actually going on, you can hear anything. So you can actually hear if people are talking in the stadium
Yeah,
because of the
yeah,
way the
yeah.
sound is traveling. So to hear this little kid suddenly starts chanting and cheering, that's a pretty cool moment. You won't get this anywhere, like unless you're in like a specific stadium somewhere else, like which is acoustically that great.
Yeah, I
So-
guess. Yeah.
But yeah,
But overall, I think we can say this was a successful event. I think
100%.
talking to you guys, yeah. Would
Without
you
a
go
doubt.
watch another esports event?
Honestly, like
something-
more about that, like since you brought it up, like I'm glad that they also had like an exhibition game where viewers on the stream could vote certain modifiers in the game, like
yeah.
smoke grenades only.
Yeah, that's the showman
inverted
The
shit I
gravity
was talking about,
thing
yeah.
and whatnot.
low
Yeah,
gravity and that sort of thing, which is pretty cool. Like I think that's a very good opportunity for AD Gaming to capitalize. Again, I understand the production risks as well because you could have done that because Blast obviously had the infrastructure put in place for it, but then you wouldn't get the same feeling doing a local tournament like that. I know this for a fact, but I would like to see more of those smaller tournaments happening. I mean, like they happen all the time in Q Club. They happen in every gaming cafe anyway.
yeah.
It's just that I want to see more variety of games. I want to see what AD Gaming can do with the streaming community. There is loads of things that, like this, they just scratch the surface of what they can do, and
Of course.
gaming as well is like, I think it's just like a generalized term because they think okay, video games, but I think there's so much more that they contribute to the pop culture space here, and that's also video game development. We're looking at voice acting, all of that stuff, all comes part of it, right, in the same medium.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, but unfortunately, like because the industry or the field of gaming in general, like the several facets of being in the video gaming industry, there are so many things. I think the best way to go at it is focus on one aspect, one or two aspects, right?
Yeah.
Grow that industry here, and then the rest will follow.
Yeah, 100%. I think like I already brought this up last podcast. I'll bring it up again now as well. Slowly but surely is like
Yeah.
their team right now. So I think they're doing what they're doing best right now, and they're doing a good job of it. And I don't think we can, like, as pundits, sit here and make demands that they need to do X,
Oh
Y,
no
and Z.
no no, we're not. No,
You
of
know?
course, yeah.
As an industry, like, even they know that they are very young in this, and in the sense that there are a lot of platforms here who are setting up gaming divisions, and that's all we hear with the gaming division set up for this company. And then I'm like, why? Why would they do that? Why would they need to put up a gaming division unless they're serious about supporting gamers?
Yeah.
And AD Gaming has cemented itself as one of the companies who have put money where their mouth is. So they have said exactly what they're going to be doing. Obviously, a lot of people have been like, "Yeah, but we're not happy with what is this. You need to be doing this and that." But no, they stood their guns, they stuck to it, and bringing quality esport tournaments is on their manifesto pretty much. And they have,
they succeeded. Yeah,
they did.
Now we have to see where they go from here. Like you mentioned before, like it's either they continue riding this, or like I know you said slowly but surely, but like it really depends on the next event. If it's just as big, let's say, or like, and it can bring in more people and more hype, I think they're successful. But if they just leave it at this event and that's it, then I feel like it will not progress, like you said. So we have to, like, the real test is where they go from here. What's the next thing that we're going to hear from them, esports wise or otherwise in the gaming space, that's just as big. Like that's what I think.
I honestly hope we see other games on, like, League of Legends or Dota or even
Overwatch.
No.
I want Overwatch because that's the thing. Like I was telling Fatty yesterday, if they bring in Overwatch, I'll be a lot more hyped because that's a game that I played. I know Overwatch 2 is basically the same as Overwatch 1 with a few changes here and there, but I could follow along a lot more with Overwatch 2 than I would with Counter-Strike, because the last time I played Counter-Strike was when it was just called Counter-Strike. It wasn't CSGO. It was before the global offensive, like, patch or whatever.
1.6.
Yeah. But Overwatch was just like a couple of years ago. But yeah, so anyways, you were saying, I just wanted to throw in Overwatch as a possible.
No, I know. But that depends on whether Activision Blizzard are willing to do such a thing, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, it all depends on the developers. Yeah,
of course. And it's not like Overwatch 2 have been getting the best rep at the moment. So I think so the games I mentioned pretty much are games that are they're
solid.
Popular.
Yeah.
En masse, and they're easy to put on. Like there's also developer support for tournaments, and these are the games you would most likely see. I would most likely see a Call of Duty tournament happening here.
And in the Middle East specifically, it's Call of Duty.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Call of Duty, FIFA, Valorant. These are the games that people play. I would see more. In fact, you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing a Rocket League tournament.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind watching one.
I don't know how popular it is here. Like I know a lot of my friends play, but I don't know if generally speaking in the Middle East or like in the UAE, it's a game that's played a lot. But let me then just ask this to all of you: if first of all, I know this is Food's first time going to an esports event, just like me, but was this your first time as well?
No, it wasn't.
No, okay, all right. So, but I'll still ask the same question: if there was an esports event in town and it's like a big name sort of event, not like a local thing, but like a recognized, well-produced event, but it's for a game that you don't play, would you still go watch it?
I wouldn't go watch it alone.
Okay.
I would actually take people who knew the game and go watch it with them.
All right.
It's a tough question. It really depends on the game, but I'm just gonna answer with another point that CS is something that we played before. Like I know what I'm getting myself into. Dota and LoL, I've never cared for. This is like these two examples so I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it live. So, but like I like Kevin's answer. If somebody's into
there, then
I'll go with them and I'll check it out, but not by myself.
Because I keep I might have mentioned this in a previous episode to you, Fadi, but I keep remembering when I'm like just thinking about this whole thing about going to an esports event, watching a game that you don't really know that well. And I keep remembering when I went to Montreal as part of a university trip back in 2008. Our professor took us to a hockey game. And it was a surprise thing. Like we were just, like she said, like, I'm going to take you guys out somewhere. We never knew where it was until we reached the arena. And then we put 2 and 2 together and it was like a hockey game. We live in the Middle East. The only exposure to hockey is through like movies. That's about it. And it's not like there was a shit ton of movies about the game of hockey, the beautiful game of hockey. So we had a very limited exposure to that game. And we were excited. We're going to go watch a hockey game in Montreal, like in Canada. That's awesome. And I enjoyed the game. Again, I know the basics. Hockey puck, it goes into the goal or whatever it's called. People fight it out if they don't like each other. They slide ski, whatever. That's it. That's all I needed to know. I just needed to know what the objective was. Just like put the puck in the goal as many times as you can, and that's it. And we had a blast because it was a full arena. It was the Montreal team playing against the Detroit team. I forgot what they were called. The Montreal team is called Canadians. The Detroit team, I think they were called something. I don't know what. But it was like it was a full house. Everybody's like, putting their energy into it. Everybody's cheering. It was insane. And I enjoyed that experience so much. So that's why I keep thinking that if I go and watch like some game, like an esports match or like esports tournament, and if it's a game that I don't really know, that I haven't played before, like Valorant, for example, right? I haven't played Valorant, but I've seen Valorant on Twitch, right? I get like the basics, right? Like, of what you have to do, what the objectives of each player is. I can still go and watch it if the space, if the arena, if the people, the crowd is there to put on a good show as well. I think you could kind of lose yourself within the crowd if they're just like hyped enough, and that's something.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, it is. It like, especially like now, since we have experienced the esports feel and vibes and like the experience, like it is something you can get yourself hyped up with the rest of the crowd. And like, even though we didn't know the teams, we didn't know anybody, like it was kind of like through like the last few days of like watching and like seeing the names of the teams, then we kind of got an idea. Yeah. So like if it's the same thing for either Dota or LoL, I could try to do it. I don't see why not, but like I think I need to go with someone. Like,
of course, like going with somebody. Like if I had gone to that hockey game by myself, I probably would have enjoyed it to a certain degree. But like going with somebody that we know, and especially if that somebody also doesn't know the game, so you're kind of like in it together, right? Misery loves company. But yeah, so I am definitely a lot more open to attending an esports tournament if it's a game that I don't really know or I don't really play.
Nice.
As long as like maybe there's somebody there to go with me and we can like both kind of like discover things together bit by bit. Obviously we'll do our homework and like look into the game before that. But
you would do homework. Oh, that's lovely, Tim.
Yeah,
that's
I mean I did homework before this. That like I watched a few games. I read up on what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm like, in the end, I just want to conclude this and say that in the end, I'm very happy. I'm very satisfied with what happened. The only issue for me was that it was too long for me personally. 2 hours, I think, is great. Like what happened with G2 and Liquid, like it took place, I think, like in a span of 2 hours, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it did.
Going over 3 hours, I think, would be maybe too much for me. I don't know, which is ironic because I'm going to watch Avatar 2 tonight, which is like 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Oh God, is it really?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah. And I
I'm
have to
not
put the
hyped
3D
for that
glasses
movie
on.
whatsoever, but whatever. Like, I'm just saying.
Just wait until it streams or it's available somewhere else or something. If you don't want to go watch it in the movies, yeah. So yeah, I think we rambled on for a bit here in the end. Any last words, guys? We gotta shut this down.
Looking forward to more gaming tournaments in 2023.
All right, awesome. That's something we could all look forward to. Fedi?
I'm looking forward to doing another esports events all together. Like if we all three of us go at the same time to one of these next ones, I'm down for that.
And we have to also end this with thanking AD Gaming. AD Gaming sent Fedi and I invites to attend the event.
Thank you.
We've talked to them before. They know us. They're friends of the show. And they know that we've always wanted to attend an esports event because we talked about how it never happened here, that we've never been to one, and we wanted to go to one of that scale. And they came through. They're amazing guys. Sultan, Mahmoud, James, they're all pretty good people.
Just talking to them directly, if you're watching this, it was unexpected and amazing of you guys. So thank you. Thank you. Like from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
So, and Nox, we want to tell people where they can find you?
On everywhere on the internet, I am Noxvoyager. Hopefully, I will still have a Twitter account by the end of the year.
Oh yeah, you still haven't streamed in a bit, right?
Are you doing Mastodon or whatever it's called, the other Twitter that everyone moved to?
I can't.
Too many websites, too many social media sites. All right, then that's it for today. Kevin, thanks for joining us in this episode.
Thank you, Kevin.
And we hope everybody has a great rest of the week and a great rest of the year. Then Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's. This is going to be our last episode of the year.
It is our last one. Yeah, we thought it was going to be the last one.
Well, yeah, no, this came out of nowhere. The Blasphemy thing came out of nowhere. Like the last one was really supposed to be the last one before Kevin's episode was really supposed to be the last one. But I'm glad that they kind of surprised us with the Blasphemy, and we got to enjoy that. But yeah, next weekend is going to be Christmas. I'm also going to be traveling to Saudi, and then there's going to be New Year's after that. So sometime in January, we will be back with another episode.
We'll see you guys then.
Yeah, see you guys then. So thanks for watching the episode. Do drop us a like or comment for more content like this, or follow us on social media at BadGoodPod. We are on Instagram and Twitter. So hit us up there, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Take care, guys.